want to make a video where we can drive around, take a look at some of the vacancies in and around Hollywood, Beverly Hills, down in Melrose. I've just seen more and more for lease signs, almost to a point where it's a bit alarming. So I thought we would just cruise around and I can show you what I'm seeing and shed some light on it and get your thoughts, get your take on if this is something for alarm or if it's just the natural course of economic corrections. If nothing else, it'll be cool to cruise around and I can show you all the vacancies and some of the streets and what's happening in Los Angeles, especially if you don't live out here, or if you do live out here but you don't live in these vicinities, because maybe this is happening also in your areas, or maybe it's happening in different cities all across the country. The mass exodus of people taking their businesses out of commercial real estate. So let's get into it. So I'm cruising down here on Sunset Boulevard. It's pretty mellow. It's beautiful, beautiful day. And I'm surprised by how much vacant retail space there is. There's a lot of vacant retail space. This right here used to be a sunglass store. Or glasses. This right here used to be a glasses store. The whole place is vacant. I'm going to show you a few spaces that used to be full of life, full of business and commerce, and now they're just gone. They're decimated. So this used to be an H&M. Whole space. Very cool H&M. I actually saw Russell Simmons at one time. There wasn't a wall in the middle. It just cut right on through the whole store. And then this was a coffee shop. I forget the name of it, but it was always popping. There's obviously a few people hanging around, but there's just nothing here. There's no life. There's an Equinox up there. Equinox is a pretty pricey gym. It's nice. This whole section right here. The whole entire thing used to be H&M. Now it's available retail space. Used to be a newsstand around here. It's not there anymore. It's a beautiful retail space. There's a lot going on. I mean, it's on Sunset Boulevard, on the strip, across the street from Mel's. And you got everything you want around here. But who's going to take the space? There'll always be another dreamer, another investor, and that's cool. I think that's what it's going to take to get these things going. You know, retail space is expensive, inflation, cost of everything goes up, cost of living. And Sunset, it's just it's vacant. The whole strip is pretty vacant. You have little onesies and twosies around, but it's going to take a long time for this thing to come back to life. Yes, I don't know. I've been baffled. I've been walking around the city for the last couple days, Hollywood, Sunset, and I just haven't seen much life. I think it's beautiful, just empty. So this right here was the most surprising. This is Fred Segal. Fred Segal's been somewhat of a staple in LA for a very long time as a retailer. This right here was a coffee shop. Now there is a retail store downstairs called Kith. They still got it going on. Maybe we'll take a look at that in a second. But yeah, this whole thing was a coffee shop, seating area. You know, these are very expensive luxury apartments up there. It's gone. It's decimated. There's no one around. The whole thing's empty. Yeah, so it's interesting to see all the for lease space, and then to just see, you know, the luxury homes and the ads for luxury brands and models and everything's still pretty glamorous. At the same time, it's super glamorous. It's also very dead, very vacant, and very expensive. The spot behind me, Kith, however, they got a pretty cool thing going on. They're downstairs. You know, they're selling $200 t-shirts. They seem to be in business and doing well. They're an awesome brand. Another for lease sign. Another for lease. Wow, that was Takaya. Oh boy, Release. Wow. Love it. I'm seeing a lot of this for the first time. Of course, you have Supreme right there. You know, Supreme does what Supreme does. It's the old Tower Records building. Look at this whole thing right here, Chase Bank. It's an old Chase Bank right there. The whole space is available. More for lease there, Release there. My wife used to work at a record label there in the 90s. You know, but again, it's beautiful. And there's the Soho house up on top there. This beautiful Soho house on a beautiful Sunday. This spot right here was Jaguar or Range Rover or maybe luxury brands. They're gone. The whole thing's gone. So of course I understand there's a lot of factors at play. Again, politics, semi-recession, rising labor costs. You know, put it all together in a bucket and that's what you have. But it is very interesting to see on Sunset Strip this many vacancies. And it's not like it happened overnight. I mean, it's been happening for a while. But so I want to make this video just to show you that there's so much empty space down here. And it's not just the Sunset Strip, it's actually everywhere. If you start looking all over Los Angeles, I mean, I've been all in the Valley, Van Nuys, Pasadena, been down to West LA, downtown definitely, was on Wilshire the other day, and it's just filled with vacancies. All the retail and commercial space is just open. All these vacancies once had employees, once had people working in them. Not sure what's going to happen. It's interesting. It's an interesting drive, to say the least. Yeah, it's not all doom and gloom. I'm not painting a picture that nothing's happening in LA. I mean, there's still plenty of people here. Millions of people live in the greater Los Angeles area. It's a thriving economy in many regards. But just this Hollywood area, it's strange. It's a little odd. It feels a little dark, a little eerie. But yeah, like I said, at the same time, you drive by a restaurant and you see 100 people sitting outside and probably buying very expensive meals. So what do I know? Space for lease. Release. So over here, Fred Segal, I just showed you the Fred Segal on Sunset Boulevard. This is the one now on Melrose. Just want to take a walk around it just to show you the magnitude of what's vacant around here. It's very, very eye-opening. So Fred Segal has always been somewhat of a institution down on Melrose because it was more than just a place to buy some gear. They had home, they had luxury, they had food, they had eyewear, they had just so much going on in this entire complex, and the whole thing is shut down. It's just dead. I'm sure they have security to keep the homeless people out, probably. You know, there was a rooftop. You could hang, get a cup of coffee. You come back on any Sunday morning, people be having brunch and coffee. E-commerce, people just going online. They used to have events in the parking lot. Last time I was here, they had a DJ out there and people were having drinks and a good time. Just dead. It's over. This right here was ice cream. I think they had an ice cream thing going on for a minute. So I don't know, you tell me what you think is happening out here. You know, do people just don't have enough money to operate their businesses? Probably. Are people leaving the state because they can't make it work out here? There's probably some of that. Are people just focusing on e-commerce because you don't need employees or as many employees and the overhead? And yeah, probably. It's probably a bit of all of it. Again, look at something like this. It's just done. When's that going to come back? And then who's going to rent it? Who's going to want to be out here without all the other retailers? We have Double RL over here, which is a great brand, right across the street from Fred Segal. You know, who knows how long they're going to stay out here? Are they going to keep it going? Are they going to go the distance? I don't think it's doing them any favors. being out here in a vacant space with no one else around, being the only game in town. That's cool. It's good to see the Improv still going. That's an institution, a comedy institution as well. Yeah, this whole space behind me was Burton Snowboards. We used to do events there. After Burton left, I'm not sure what really happened over there, if anything happened. It's a huge space, you know, like who's gonna take up that much space and what are you gonna do with it? You know, I'm a former retailer from Hollywood. I had a skate shop out here. Would I wanna open up another retail store when everyone else around me is gone? No, absolutely not. And I don't even know if the bottom's falling out. It's just not a smart investment. There's no network effect that's working for you. So that's why you see gas stations across the street from each other and coffee shops all bundled up together, because of the network effect. It's really working against you out here if you're a retailer. I don't want to get too lost on the rabbit hole of Melrose. Melrose has always had its problems. It's always been hard for retailers to make it. I mean, some have sustained, like our good pals at Brooklyn Projects. A few record shops still making it. Been coming down to Melrose since the early 90s. You know, it's a very difficult place. I can't tell you why it's such a difficult place. It's just a weird vortex. It's not really touristy, but it's not really local. Things pop up and they're gone quickly. So I wouldn't use Melrose as a barometer for what's wrong with LA. But of course, you see more vacancies here than you have. But really what's surprising about Melrose is just thrashed. I'm not saying Melrose was ever pristine, but I mean, everywhere you look, stuff's broken, tons of graffiti, like on the establishment. You know, the graffiti guys have always kind of kept it to the back alleys and the walls. Again, I'm not judging the vacancy problem here in LA based upon the vacancy problem on Melrose, because that's not an accurate depiction, because Melrose has always had this problem just keeping retailers. So yeah, behind me is some new luxury condo thing, apartments or whatever that just popped up. I'm not sure who's going to lease it. I mean, I know there's a huge vacant space right here. I mean, I was out here the other day and Chris Rock walks past me. So, you know, celebrities are still out here. People are still hanging. It's just weird. Like, not for nothing, but behind me was a family-owned business. During the George Floyd riots, someone had lit a dumpster on fire and pushed it right into this family-owned business. These guys have been here for 30 years. The whole thing burned down, and they're right next to a Starbucks. So you're like, what's going on? Would you rebuild here and rebuild on Melrose, even though you're here for 30 years? You had someone lights a dumpster and pushes it through your establishment for no reason. You know, I have a friend who has a store down the street, and he's probably had 5 or 6 dumpster fires in his back alley with homeless people. They're just, you know, doing whatever they're doing, but he's lost inventory and his insurance claims have gone up. Would you keep your store down here on Melrose where it's vacant and the crime and the homelessness and the filth? Maybe it's the right spot to be. Again, what do I know? Last stop is gonna be Fairfax. Fairfax was once the epicenter if you were a cool guy brand and you wanted to get your fashion label out there, and it's where all the celebrities came and just the community, artists. It was beautiful for a period of time. Again, lots of vacancies, and it just got thrashed. I don't know if it's ever gonna come back. I don't know where the brands have gone. Maybe they just focus online. So let's take a look and I'll show you what happened in Fairfax. So this was DGK for a period of time. It's been a few things, but the whole thing, as you can see, is just boarded up. This was a cool coffee shop. They're gone. Saw Jonah Hill here. For lease. I mean, just look at the grime on the, it's just trash. I mean, I get it. It was never the cleanest place on earth. A few stickers here and there and some tags, but this is like a whole other level. Release. Release. Good place right here. Just bombed up. Done. Release. There for lease, more for lease. Cantor's, staple. If you're in LA, go to Cantor's. Who knows how long it's been there. Get more for lease, right? So you come take a look at a space, you want a space, and you show up and it just looks like this. What's going on here? Yeah, I'll take that one. This is just disgusting. Would you want to catch a bus with your kid there? I mean, the high school's right up the street. God, to be honest, I love seeing a newsstand. I'm such a huge fan of newsstands. I always try to support them and buy something, a magazine. Any given day, you can come down here and see artists and musicians, celebrities, influencers. You know, it was happening. There was a spirit. It was alive. Now it just feels grimy. It feels dead. It feels eerie. There's no commerce here. You're not seeing people hang out. Granted, it's early on a Sunday, and we're down on Melrose. It's not reflective of all of Los Angeles. I just thought it was interesting enough to come down here and show you what it looks like and to get your opinion, because I'm scratching my head as to what's going on. But I will offer a few thoughts. So California is not pro small business. They make it difficult to have a business down here. It's very expensive to have employees. Insurance is expensive. We've seen plenty of scenarios where there's riots and homelessness. You know, people just start camping in front of you. You can't really do anything about that. Inflation, people just have less disposable income to buy things like a $100 t-shirt. People always buy what they want to buy though. Let's keep it real there. It's just hard to make it. And then you, as the proprietor of your establishment, you still have to live your life, paying $5 gas prices and, you know, eating your $20 burgers and your $12 coffees. Right? It's just expensive to live as a human, which means that you need to make more and charge more. And if the people around you are also hyper mindful of every dollar they spend, well, they're making choices now that maybe they weren't before. And that just leads to you being unable to operate your business the way it should be operated. It's always the dreamers that bring things back. It's the entrepreneurs. It's people with a vision. People that know they can make something cool, make something better. And there's somewhat of a network effect that starts to happen when you feel that energy. And I believe in entrepreneurs. I believe in business owners. I believe in opportunity. And I don't think it's ever too late to turn things around. You know, bring a power washer down here and some paint, get the local community together and do something about it. You know, it doesn't have to look like this. It doesn't have to be like this. You have a high school right across the street, Fairfax High. It's a big high school. There's plenty of kids here that could support the local community. But, you know, inflation's a real thing. Not to say we're in a full recession, but, you know, people are a little nervous right now about where to spend their money. And is opening up a retail store on Fairfax, on Melrose, on Sunset really the right move right now? Probably not. I mean, I wouldn't be thinking that unless I had a super established business and use it as a flagship location like Double RL, Ralph Lauren. You know, they can afford to lose some money for the credibility, but I just don't know if they're getting a whole lot of credibility down there on Melrose. What do you think? Hollywood was a lot cleaner than I had seen it. I was actually surprised. I'm not sure what had occurred, but in general, it's not as thrashed as it has been previously. And that's not to say it's, you know, pristine, but I didn't see camps. I didn't see tents. You know, I saw your straggler homeless person here or there. The ground was dirty, you know, but what are you gonna do? It's LA. There was a lot of trash in, you know, certain parts, but not everywhere. For the most part, it was relatively clean. So whatever's happening, good job. The for lease issue, again, is not just a Melrose Hollywood thing. I mean, look at this right here. Boom, for lease. I'm down on Wilshire. Everywhere I go, I see things boarded up and I see for lease signs everywhere. It doesn't matter what major street I'm on in Los Angeles, there is availability, there's retail space open. And there's stuff that's boarded up and shut down and most likely would never come back. And there's been a lot of great establishments that are never coming back. But such is life, such is business. Cities change, cities evolve. But I'm just wondering, I'm curious if there's ever going to be a moment where these places get leased. Look, we're still dealing with remote work. That's still a major issue, is getting people back to the office. I mean, a lot of businesses are thriving without people back in the office. A lot of businesses say we're never going to get them back. Some people are scared to ask their employees to come back. And you've made it work this long for the last 4 or 5 years. Do you want to go and spend $5,000, $8,000 a month extra on space and then force your employees to drive buying $4 or $5 a gallon gas into the office, and then they have to eat lunch, and lunch is expensive, right? Just round and round and you go. The whole thing is very expensive. So people just say, no, we're just going to operate these remote, independent, we'll use Zoom, everyone can work from home, and we'll keep our expenses down. And it seems to be working. So who cares if there's all this open space? It only affects the commercial real estate companies, maybe, right? Because then you have less establishments and then less money flowing into the local community. So, you know, something else to consider was that there was the great migration of 2020 during the pandemic, where a lot of Californians left the state, specifically areas like the one I'm in right now, expensive cities. It's not just Los Angeles, but a lot of business owners that had the means and the finances to just pick up and leave, they're the ones that were able to get out because they had the financial resources to do so, and they owned the business, so they could just go. So if you take a lot of those business owners out, and the wealth that they produced and the intellectual capital of how to create a business and keep it sustaining, you take a lot of that out of the economy, you know, maybe that's what we're seeing here. Maybe this is an outcome of that. So I figured wrap this video in Beverly Hills, one of my favorite places to hang out because it's just clean, it's relaxing, it's chill, people are always good vibes, good food, you know, good place to get a coffee, take a walk. It's very walkable. But again, I'm seeing some pretty major for lease signs here, some major vacancies. And I'm just wondering what's going on in Beverly Hills now. More and more spots across the street vacant. This is expensive real estate, very expensive. I don't know what the price per square foot for a retail space here is, but let's just assume it's a lot. The interesting thing about those vacancies across the street is they're next door to a store called Erewhon. And Erewhon is famous for their, it's like a $24 shake, $24 milkshake. And people go there and buy it. You know, it's the place where you get one strawberry for $6. You know, it's kind of like a thing to go to Erewhon and pay too much money for anything. So at the same time, see, you see all the people walking in there, hanging out on a Sunday, having brunch, spending boatloads of cash just to have a coffee or breakfast. But it's right next door to a handful of vacancies, some pretty major vacancies. Check this thing out. So we saw the Sunset Strip, saw Melrose, saw Fairfax, seen Beverly Hills, lots of vacancies, lots of open space. That's the theme here. But look at this right here. This is great. Store opening. See that? Store opening. So, someone's gonna roll the dice. Someone's gonna try their luck at the retail game. A lot of stuff what you got out here in Beverly Hills is, you know, someone comes from a lot of money and they just want to do something for the hobby. That's cool. Look at this. Is this H&M? What's happening behind me? H&M, Beverly Hills. I don't even know if they're open. This is a big one. This is Club Monaco. Got a lot of retail space. They're gone. Look at this whole thing. This whole thing was Club Monaco. It's just not there anymore. You know, places like Beverly Hills has always been able to sustain because you have a wealthy community, all the people that live in the hills, the producers, the entertainment, the legacy folks, tech started coming in for a while, and then you had all the tourists. And, you know, people want to come down here, have a good day, get some lunch, get some coffee, maybe buy something at a store. You That's really what it's all about. So when that local community can't support anymore, they can't buy because they don't have the disposable income, then what are you left with? Just a place to walk around, a bunch of vacant spaces to remember what once was. I'll tell you, the day the Chanel store is gone will be a sad day. Hopefully that day never happens. You know, I hate to say it, but people have bolstered their security as well. Everywhere you go, it kind of feels like there's a security guard on duty or someone with a taser that's gonna take down someone who, if they try to rush your store and steal something, because that was happening for a period of time. So in some weird way, it feels locked down. Many years ago, I used to come down to the Beverly Hills Chamber of Commerce and hang out with local business owners. My attorney was part of the network, and he would invite me to come and have breakfast, and there was always a general sentiment that the business was stable at those events. And I haven't been to one in years, and maybe business is still stable, but from what I'm seeing with the vacancies here in Beverly Hills, I know it's got to be on everyone's mind, like who's eventually going to take these. Now, this is luxury real estate. People aren't coming here to be profitable per se. They're coming for a brand. It's more brand play than anything. But still, no one likes to lose money. And you can only lose money for so long. Like we saw with Club Monaco. When that starts to happen, it's like, hey, we got to pull the plug. So who are these future brands, future businesses that are going to come into this space? And how many do we need to fill up the space to make it feel like it's thriving and built up again? And is the city of Beverly Hills making any concessions to bring in more retailers, people that want to roll the dice and do these things? It's a very interesting conundrum. So is this the beginning of something or the end of something? Isn't that always the question? Will it turn around? Will it be something new, better than its former self? Will we see the unexpected? Will there be different business models that take its place? Leave it in the comments. Let me know what you think. Very, very curious to hear your thoughts. And if there's anything that could or should be done about it. Thanks for watching.